Welcome to LLM BFF. AI isn't mystical or conscious, but we are. LLMs, large language models, a kind of AI, are a mirror that can help us explore our head, heart, and spirit. They take patterns from practically everything ever written and filter them into something that fits our particular moment. LLMs don't think or feel, but they can reflect things back to us in strange and useful ways, if we know how to ask them. People may use AI for job productivity or money-making schemes, or they might speak about AI as though it's something to harbor great fear over. We don't do that here. We understand that AI is a neutral tool, and we use it for good. We provide a balance. It's normal to hesitate. We've been taught to guard our inner world, especially online. But using an LLM for self-reflection isn't about confession. It's like journaling in a mirror that speaks back. The model doesn't judge, unless you ask it to. We can speak in symbols and metaphors and fragments. I want to discuss my grief without telling you the origin story. I feel like a locked room. Let's discuss a hypothetical person. We can still be honest without being exposed. We can stay blurry. Meaning can still take shape. And if we want to spill the entirety of our guts, we can delete AI memory after each session, or throw caution to the wind with the knowledge that all humans are in some way incomplete, and the quest for betterment or understanding is the noblest of all goals. Each LLM BFF video is a structured prompting system designed to support an area of personal growth, self-reflection, myth-making, meaning-finding, dream decoding, or whatever we feel like poking at or improving that day. We will walk through myriad ways to begin an AI session, how to redirect if things go off course, and how to ask the AI to give us our findings in ways that help us put them to use in our daily lives. And if you want to bypass AI altogether, well, consider this a giant bank of journal prompts for your notebook, baby. No corporate speak, no AI butt kissing, just clear, structured AI prompts for your head, heart, and spirit. We're pretty aware of our skin's dryness levels, our limits for washing our hair before the grease takes over, or when it's time to have a dentist see to our plaque. These material concerns allow us to use our five senses to suss out itchiness, oiliness, and odors that alert us that some care is needed. The outer landscape is covered, but when our inner terrain is rocky, or worse yet, completely unknown to us, what do? We all likely have our own unique way of considering our inner worlds. We use different terms, feel different sensations. Sometimes we don't have any language at all for what's going on. We live inside the frameworks of our inner world unconsciously, following rules or moods we might not understand. An LLM may seem an absurd place to seek solace, and it is. But what's so wrong with absurdity? A tiny willingness to explore ourselves can be cracked wide open with help from a neutral tool. It can help us exhaust a list of methods, find out how we learn best, create personal rituals for self-attunement, or just help us organize our thoughts. The willingness is where we start. So why do we want to map our inner landscape? What use can we put the information to? Understand ourselves better. Actions, thoughts, and emotions all play a part in our lives. Don't neglect the emotions. Notice emotions before they erupt. Getting a feel for our inner world can better signal us when things are off kilter. Brainstorm ways to feel better. Understanding the terrain and patterns help us begin to change. Learn to stop identifying with emotions. By recognizing the ever-changing inner terrain, we better understand the temporary nature of emotions. Build clear internal language. Being able to effectively communicate how we feel is a benefit to ourselves and others. How do we do it? Using a simple system to get us familiar with how LLMs can help us out. First is framing. It's important to get into the right headspace before beginning. We'll do this with some questions for self-reflection. Next comes our initial prompt in the form of intention plus format. This is what we first enter into the LLM chat to make sure the course is set to get the answers we're after. We'll look at 6 examples of different ways to begin, depending on our vibe that day. Then we'll discuss iteration, with examples of how we might reshape the conversation if it starts getting a little off track. Finally, we'll look at takeaways. We'll discuss 6 different ways we might ask for our final outputs and put the information to use. So let's get started with framing. Ask yourself, how would I rate my ability to name my emotions? Where do I feel different emotions in my body? When do I feel most dysregulated? Pause here and continue when your headspace is cleared. It's important to keep some caveats in mind when using LLMs. This is not therapy. LLMs can support introspection, but they aren't able to hold emotional complexity like a human. Don't get all weird with it. LLMs are not magic. They reflect patterns. It's useful because it's mechanical, not mystical. You're the mystical one. LLMs are people pleasers. They aim to agree and support, unless you tell them to challenge. Don't mistake helpfulness for honesty. Employ a little skepticism. Agency lives with the user. LLMs can mirror, question, and organize, but you choose what resonates and what doesn't. Now let's open our LLM in the browser. We'll start with our intention stated clearly. I want to map my internal landscape. Before we submit, let's look at some ways we can customize our initial prompt to our tastes. I don't feel like typing too much or over-explaining myself. Lead me through a word association game that reveals what my inner terrain is like. I can talk endlessly about my positive emotions and how they feel, but it's hard for me to put the negative ones to words. Can you suggest solutions? My emotions are sometimes so intertwined. Can I send a morning page I wrote and have you help me start to untangle the emotions behind it? My routines are so rigid I rarely let myself feel anything. Is there a pragmatic way to begin? When I get in certain moods, there's no space for feeling emotions. There's only action. How can I slow down to notice the textures? I want to build a sort of field guide to my inner landscape, like I'm a creature worthy of studying. Where do I start? Once we've worked with our initial prompt and had some back and forth, we might find ourselves getting a little off the point, or getting answers that aren't very suited to us. Let's look at a few iterations that can course correct the combo. I think I might need more guidance. Based on my responses so far, how do you think I visualize my internal world? I want to hammer down a sense. Talking about negative emotions is making me really uncomfortable. Is there a gentle way to both soothe the discomfort but also learn about it at the same time? This is feeling as chaotic as my brain. Can you shorten what we've found and suggest simple, clear steps for continuing? I don't want this to feel like another routine. How can I continue exploring my inner world without making it a checklist? Help me find a technique that will work for me. This is getting too gooey and positive again. I know my inner landscape is rocky, but I want to embrace the abrasion. How can I see my emotions in a new light? This gives me really good ideas for art pieces to make, but can we adjust to weave in additional challenge regarding understanding myself? The conversation is winding down and we have some good ideas brewing. Let's look at some ways we can ask the LLM for our results and make sure we have a game plan for putting the results to use in our daily lives. How can I make a visual representation of my inner world using found objects and incorporating 2 or more senses? I want to experience my inner world in a new way. Can you give me flowery but wise haikus for my negative terrains that I can use to reframe how I think of them? What are some questions I can answer in my journal daily that will help me continue to understand my inner patterns? Give me 10 suggestions to getting in touch with my emotions and a grading scale for each one's effectiveness. I'll try a new one until I find what's right. I want to get more comfortable with the softer parts of my inner world too. How might I do that without being hokey or saccharine? Generate 5 strange phrases related to what we talked about that I can use as inspiration for paintings. It's hard to talk about the non-physical. It's hard to identify what's going on in our inner worlds. But the good news is, the more you try, the better you get at it. Create a vocabulary that sounds right to you. You don't need to share it with anyone, but use it to better understand yourself, to trace patterns in mood, understand your extremes, notice the impermanence, and help make more lasting changes in your life. An LLM isn't a guru or professional, but if we know how to ask, it can help us sort through the endless information, because that's what it was made to do. So ask it for some help. You may be surprised what you find. This has been LLM BFF. Useful cases, no mystery. Goodbye.